Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu assalamu rasulullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to We Are All Okay Wednesday. And the topic today is injustice. Surely it's good to feel angry about injustice. And I just want to say that I actually programmed in this topic before all of this happened in the world that's happening right now. Oh, well, it's been happening all along. Sorry, that was not well phrased, but before we had this issue come up globally around Black lives in the US and how at risk they are and how vulnerable they feel. And so this actual topic wasn't necessarily directed at that particular issue, but injustice in general. And it might seem strange that I would say surely it's good to feel angry about injustice and challenge that question, which I'll answer in a minute. First, I wish to apologize for being late. We rescheduled so we could fit in a discussion with Monica Body, which I've just finished, and so I even ran late with the reschedule, and that's why I'm broadcasting late here today. So why am I challenging the concept of surely it's good to feel angry about injustice? I believe that we are all at times going to experience anger and frustration and indignance and sadness and a whole range of emotions around what's been happening to people, whether it's Islamophobia and Muslims being harmed, whether it's racism and Black people being harmed, whether it's chauvinism and women being harmed, whether it's adultism and children being harmed. And so we should, because the definition of a psychopath is someone who doesn't have feelings, and we certainly don't want to come under that category. The reason I wanted to raise this thing about surely it's good to feel angry about injustice is I actually wanted to bring an awareness that if we're feeling angry about what's happening, if we've got big feelings about what is happening around injustice, that's not the time for us to act or say something, that we need to sit with those feelings and allow that to pass, so that our wisdom can come through, and then we know what to say and do that's going to be part of the solution. What tends to happen when we act from a place of anger, when we have injustice, we tend to lose our wisdom and we tend to actually become part of the problem. We tend to make matters worse. So this isn't about saying that it's not okay to be angry around injustice. Absolutely, we will experience those feelings, and I'd be concerned if none of us did. This message is all about waiting for that feeling to come to settle, for our wisdom to come forward, so we can act in a way that is going to be pleasing to Allah and part of the solution. So this comes back to what I teach of the inside out paradigm about our feelings coming from thought in the moment, and that as our thinking shifts, so do our feelings. So feelings can, if we want to look at it like a weather analogy, it's like there's a storm, right? So when a storm comes, we don't know how long the storm is going to last, but we do know that eventually it will pass. And once the storm passes, then then the sun comes out again. And it's not that the sun wasn't there. It was there, but it was behind the storm. And so if we, in this analogy, make our wisdom the sun, when we have big feelings coming up, it's like the storm that's in front of the sun. Those feelings get in the way of our wisdom. And so we're not acting from a place of wisdom. We're acting from a place of pain, of anger, the hurt, the frustration, the indignation, just from that sense of injustice. And that is a really powerful emotion. It's one of the strongest ones I feel, because in all of my coming to understand emotions and being much stabler in my emotions, the thing that riles me up the most and when I go most off track myself is when I experience injustice. So it's fine to have the feelings. In fact, please, do not fight yourself or judge yourself or think you should feel this way or that way. You will have feelings. Your feelings will be through the way you're thinking about what's happening in the world, in your life, in that moment, or remembering what's happened before. And just like the storm, that we don't know how long it'll last, but it does eventually pass. The feelings, we don't know how long they'll last either. Sometimes they can be very uncomfortable and we don't really want to sit with them and we want them to go away, so we try to do something with it. That doesn't work. It actually probably prolongs and exacerbates the situation. We just stay with those feelings until they pass. And once they pass, just like the sun comes out from behind the clouds, our wisdom comes out from behind our feelings. In that moment, we can be part of the solution to injustice. Part of the solution might look like reaching out to the victim of injustice and just listening to them, as Monica was saying just before in the live that I just did. If you didn't see it, please go back and listen to it, because she had a lot to say on how we can support Black people or people with more melanin than me through what's going on in the world and the hurt and the pain and the trauma that they're going through, right? So maybe reaching out for that person and listening to them so their feelings of grief and hurt pass quicker, easier, because of the love and compassion we're showing them. But part of the solution is also, what is our role in terms of ending injustice? It might be, depending on the situation, reaching out to the person who committed the injustice and setting a limit with them, or having a conversation with them, or even listening to them to see where they were coming from so we can see where they're stuck. Because a person who's oppressing another person, certainly there can be arrogance behind that, but there can also be their own hurt and misunderstanding of the world. And by listening to them as well, we may actually be able to reach their heart and help them see things differently, help them see things from the perspective of their victim, help them see things, or help them even see where their thinking has really gone off, and be part of the solution that way. If we're the ones that are experiencing the injustice, then learning how we can really stand up against injustice in a very firm and confident way. Not in an angry way, because in an angry way, what happens is we basically get anger back. But if we reach out to the people who are oppressing us and going, you know what, that's not okay. And having the confidence and courage to do that, we can start opening up the opportunity for them to do differently. And setting very strong limits with them, that, for instance, if it's somebody in your life that is doing that to you, saying to them, look, the way you treat me is not okay. And if you continue to treat me like that, I actually don't want to be in a relationship with you. At that point, that person has a choice. They can continue to be an oppressor and displease Allah, because we know that oppression is displeasing to Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a hadith Qudsi forbade oppression upon himself before he forbade it even on us. Or they can have an opportunity to reflect upon themselves and look into themselves and see where they can change and do differently. So the solution lies in supporting the victim, the oppressed and the oppressor. And I don't mean supporting the oppressor by condoning their behavior, not at all. We don't condone the behavior, but we don't want to throw the person out with the behavior, like separate the person and the behavior and see that behind that behavior, which is a symptom, actually, it's not the problem. There's something going on with that person for them to be behaving like that. And I know from my own experience, I was never able to stand up for myself or say when something wasn't okay for me, or say when they had to stop. I could never do that from a calm and firm place. It was always, if I ever did do it, it was from a really emotional space, and so it made no difference. Or I just didn't say anything, and I just let them continue to oppress me. And all of that changed for me through understanding the inside-out paradigm, understanding that feelings come from thought in the moment. And that's why I do these videos, and that's why I have this group, the We Are All Okay group. It's why I have the programs that I have to teach my sisters in Islam about this, because I want all of us to be part of the solution by standing up for the victims, being there for the victims, standing up to the oppressors, but being there for them too, opening the door for opportunity for them to change. I had an imam, very wise imam, mashallah, who said to me when I was going through a difficult time in my marriage where, well, it was more than a difficult time, it was abuse. And the imam said to me, because I was fearing that whole thing of standing up for what was right and standing up to him, he said, if I have any love for him, then I will love for him paradise. And if I love for him paradise, then if I don't say something, I am not doing my part in enjoying the good and forbidding the evil. I'm not giving him the opportunity to see where he's not getting it right. By being quiet, I am allowing him to continue to displease Allah. And that really, shifted things for me. I wasn't strong enough at that time to really stand up to him. I had to write it in a letter. I wasn't able to speak to him verbally about it, but I wrote a letter. The letter resulted in him choosing to continue to displease Allah rather than self-reflect. And that was a key turning point when I could see, okay, this isn't going to change. There's no point me staying. But at least I explored that. At least I said my bit. At least I did what I could. And then I walked away. And so I can also, say that to my kids, that I did what I could. If it was ever going to work out, that was the moment that there was opportunity for change. So when I say injustice, surely it's good to feel angry about injustice. I'm not saying that we won't be angry. I'm just saying that when we want to be part of the solution, it's time we need to let those angry feelings settle first so that our wisdom can come forward and so that we can be part of the solution. So I haven't seen any comments or anything popping up here, and I'd love if you really think that this is a subject that's beneficial to others for you to share this video. No, you can't share this video because it's in the group, sorry. Invite your friends, your sisters, into this group so they can benefit from the video and the other ones that I have done along these lines of understanding our human nature better. But before I go, I have about 10 minutes that I can be here longer if you would like. Is ask me any questions. Share with me what you took away from what I said today. If you're here on the recording, please share what you take away. I always ask you that for two reasons. One, I get to find out if what I said to you landed the way it was meant to land. Secondly, it helps you walk away actually taking something from what you sat here and listened to today. If you're going to invest the time in listening, we want it to make a difference. When we have to figure out what we took away from it, it helps us consolidate what we just heard. So please share what you took away, whether you're here live or whether you're watching the recording. I do go back and listen. Sometimes I only have time to just put a love heart there to say that I read it. Sometimes I have time to respond. But I do love to read what you have to say and answer any questions that you have. This is a big topic. As I said at the beginning, I didn't pick this topic to be now because of what was going on in the world. I actually just programmed this topic in, and it happened to turn out to be today. And alhamdulillah, that's one of those things from Allah. We all, every single one of us, needs to be part of the solution of ending oppression. And the only way we're going to succeed at that is first by understanding ourselves so that we can step into our wise self and not react emotionally to what's going on, so that we can see the wisdom. Like, wait for the emotions to start. This is not about let's not be emotional. This is about let's not act or say anything while we're emotional. Wait till the emotions subside. Then it's our time to do something. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Jarina. Good to see you, sis. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, it does make sense. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad it makes sense. So we will get angry. We will have feelings. Feelings are fine. It's how we were built to have feelings. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to not have feelings, He wouldn't have given them to us, right? Our feelings serve a very important purpose in our life. They're part, actually, of our test. And maybe that's, what I could, conclude on here is that part of our test is, do we let our feelings run the show, or do we let our connection with Allah and our wisdom that we have through that connection with Allah run the show? So if we act out when we're emotional, we're allowing our feelings to run the show. If we wait to our feelings to subside and we check in with our wisdom, that's going to come from Allah. And that's when we're going to show up in a way where we're part of the solution, inshallah. And so that's part of our test, isn't it? Our test in this life is, how do we show up? Do we show up for the sake of Allah, or are we just reacting from emotion? But we need to show up, all of us, every single one of us, in one way or another. So Monica, I've just finished a live with Monica, and if you can find that live, listen to her, please. Listen to her. Her advice to all of us was, right now, black people with more melanin than me, are feeling really hurt, and they need people to see if they're okay and listen. And so our job is to reach out to them and just listen and be there for them and say, I'm so sorry that you're going through that, and I'm here for you in any way you need me, inshallah. It's very, I feel quite emotional doing this today, because I've just directly come straight off the call with Monica and straight in here, and it was a lot to take in and absorb talking to her. It probably wasn't a real programming, wasn't a good programming move on my part to have these things back to back so close. However, I think it has perhaps influenced the way I delivered this message today to how I might have delivered it prior, if I hadn't have heard what she had to say, subhanAllah. So Jazakallah khair for being here. It seems there's no particular questions at this moment, but that doesn't mean if you're listening to this later you can't ask them. Please just comment below. Before I go, the way Facebook works is, the more engagement there is with a particular video, the more it shares it with other people. So if you think that this video is helpful to others, press the hearts button and share lots of hearts. Invite your friends to join the group and maybe tag them in this video so they can listen, because there is oppression across our Muslim world in all shapes and form, and we can be a part of the solution to ending that. We can be a part of the solution to ending what's going on for the black people in America, simply by supporting the black people and giving them the space to speak up and be heard and be seen. Alhamdulillah. All right, sisters. Apologies again for it being a late broadcast today. It was delayed to talk to Monica before we came live here today. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Don't forget to join our conference. In fact, I should have a link up here. I'm going to put this link, hang on. Let me just change the link down the bottom here so that you can see the link for the conference. In our conference, we're going to be tackling a lot of these topics. So it's back to, I'm saying this out loud so I type it right, fitrahconference.com, and I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Yeah, right. We're having a conference at the end of July, and we will be addressing a lot of these topics. So make sure that you go and register so that you get all the information. There's not much information to tell you at the moment. Registering now just means that you're on the list so that you'll get all the details when we have them all, inshallah. So Jareena's saying, we are all human beings created by one God. I'm going to share this for everybody, if it'll let me. Oh, it doesn't want to let me. Okay, sorry about that. So I'll read it for them. We are all human beings created by one God sharing earth. Everyone has responsibility to be kind and caring to each other. That's from Jareena. Yes, Jareena. Jazakallah khair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your good work, dear sister. Yeah, Ameen. Jazakallah khair for that. All right, so don't forget to register for the conference and share this video with your friends. If they're in the group, tag them. If they're not in the group, invite them. Hit the hearts button, give it lots of hearts, because the more engagement on this video, the more people will get to actually benefit from it, inshallah. All right, my dear sisters, Jazakallah khair for being with me today. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.